Welcome to the Smash Mouth Podcast, a series about building a successful life, even from the most humble beginnings, without a middleman or a handout. You'll find insights, interviews, and dissections of emerging side hustles, businesses, and professions that'll help cut the BS and get to the money. You ready? Let's go.
What's good, family? It's your man, Miles. This is the Smash Mouth Podcast. And on this episode, I got my man, Hassan D. And we're going to chop up some really good game on some varying topics, entrepreneurship, manhood stuff, just all around good game. So with that said, my man is right here. Let him introduce himself. Tell us a little bit about what you've done, what you're doing, and we'll just go from there, bro.
What up, fam? Big shout out to West Coast Worldwide. This is Hassan B. Representing the company Social Mediums Design. We are a boutique social media marketing, SEO, and event marketing company based out of South Los Angeles. And just here to sprinkle some gems on everybody and see what we can do and exchange some information.
Absolutely right. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into the business that you do. Talk a little bit about what the company does, what the typical customer and client looks like, and how long you've been doing it, and the core competencies necessary to do what you do.
All right, definitely. So in short, I'm sure many people have come across either agencies or even individuals that, offer social media marketing. Other words might be digital marketing, online marketing. Basically what that essentially means is that we're leveraging social media platforms, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, even Pinterest, and leveraging those platforms in order to, market for a business or a brand. And what that means is we're generating traffic, we're trying to bring profits, we're trying to bring exposure to the business. So what I do is I identify some local businesses in my area, and I might reach out to them. I might do what's called like a web audit. So I kind of determine what their web presence is already. So if I see that they have a website that is maybe not fully optimized, meaning they're not using a lot of keywords, it's not kind of formatted as best as it should be, they might have some broken links, they might have an inactive Facebook page, they might not have any Instagram accounts or anything like that. I might, slide in the DMs or whatnot and, just kind of offer them an opportunity to give them some kind of back-end support. And usually a lot of businesses are going to be responsive to that because, we're in a different time now where, if you're not online, you almost don't exist, right? So even if you're a brick and business, mom and pop business that's been around for 20 years, you need to have some type of presence, online, and you need to have somebody managing that presence. And what you find is there's a big gap, as far as the learning curve, as far as how to use these tools. Most people, have a casual relationship with using like Instagram and Facebook. But there's a difference when you kind of really delve into the functionality of these tools and using them as a tool rather than just a form of entertainment or a means of communication. So what we do is we go into these platforms and we basically utilize them as business tools and work towards certain goals. Again, that could just be to give a business some brand exposure so that they can manage the reputation, on an online platform. Or it might just be to drive more traffic to a website or to get some people to sign up to their newsletter or just to get, straight up business. So it could be very layered as far as what the motive or the goal is. But it's really all centered around this action or the activities of using social media. And another piece of that, because there's an art to it, is the storytelling aspect. So it's not just about posting and retweeting and finding, nice pictures. It's really about capturing that identity of that company and really being able to manifest that into other social mediums. And so that's pretty much our goal and what we try to do, and it's still a very new industry, right? So you got a lot of different people kind of jumping into it, so, with that, it's really important for us to have some type of integrity, to work with transparency, and to have a certain standard as well, because there might be someone that's offering to, give you Instagram likes, or add some YouTube subscribers, but it's like, okay, what are their methods? You know what I'm saying? How are they doing that? And also, too, for the customer, what is your end goal with that? So there's an education piece on both sides. So when I work with customers and clients, I like to kind of tell them about the process and walk them through, what we're going to do specifically with them, so they understand what activities are going to be associated with this relationship, and that they kind of get educated in the process, because, again, we want everything to be transparent, and, the turtle wins the race. So, we're not in here to do any kind of back-end tricks or anything like that, So, and because it's so gray area right now for a lot of people, we really don't want to take advantage of that, because eventually there's going to be a time when people are going to be more savvy. And, so we want to make sure that we're kind of ahead of the game as far as, maintaining our integrity and just being overall, good agency.
Okay. And that raises a very good question.
Yeah.
In dealing with the general public, like you said, there's a gap between using your social platforms to better your business versus the individual just using it casually. And for a young cat that's trying to get into this game, who has a Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff, and they've been having it, they've been using it, they feel like they're active on it, but they're saying, hey, I want to learn the game so that I can do what you do. What would you say is probably the first step and the biggest thing that they should be doing in order to pick up this game?
Really, they just need to, in my opinion, take a step back and just start researching and learning as much as you can. When I entered into this field last year, I kind of segued into it from another position of doing, marketing. But when I segued into doing more digital marketing, I had to overcome that learning curve as well, because I was one of these casual users thinking that I pretty much knew how things worked, right? And it wasn't until I started delving deep into, okay, what exactly is social media marketing? What does that look like? That I discovered that there was so much more, to learn. In fact, the more that I researched, the more I found out I didn't know, so there was a lot to learn there to close that gap. So for a person that's interested in doing this type of work, there's so many resources on YouTube. There's lots of social media marketing blogs, and then that there's different areas of focus as well. So you kind of got to find out, are you going to be someone that's going to be, focusing on advertising, online, like, Google ads? Are you going to be someone that's going to be, more on like SEO, like kind of back end kind of things? Or are you going to be on the front line doing like active social management pages? Having a good marketing background in general is going to be good, but if you don't have that type of business background, then definitely reading up on just business practices in general, just because you need to have that business acumen. Simply having the knowledge isn't going to be enough, because, I run into other newbies like me, that are starting, and they may be offering similar services, but what I notice is that they don't even have like the business acumen, meaning they can't even market themselves as a business, which is ironic. You can't be a marketing agency and not be able to market your own business, right? So,
Right.
and that just shows that, you know, people kind of look at this as maybe, oh, maybe I can make some money doing this, and they kind of just jump into it thinking that they know everything, or that, oh, this is easy. Facebook, yeah, I know how to do that. I have a Facebook account, yeah, whatever, you know. But when you actually look into it, it is really deeply rooted in consumer psychology, business. I mean, there's just so many elements to it. It's backed by this term, social media marketing, which I think for a lot of people tends to gloss over a lot of things. So you don't want to be intimidated if you have interest, but definitely don't underestimate how much there is to learn to really get a good footing and really make a business out of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I agree, because there's so many instances where, and not just in social media, but in other industries as well, where there are certain things that people partition and turn into a side hustle kind of thing, where, you know, they'll post ads for Craigslist or, you know, wherever else, Upwork, wherever else, and they expect it to be maybe an hour worth of work. But, you know, I don't think that most people, like you said, really spend enough time on learning business acumen, understanding how the flow of business goes, so that at the end of the conversation, that person not only believes that you are the person that can help them, but that you can actually complete the transaction. You know?
That's right.
Because there's, you know, myself, I come from a customer service-oriented background. I understand that, you know, if you aren't at the position to where you can help the customer really understand what their core issue is and answer that for them, then ultimately they're going to be like, man, this dude doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, even if you have the same answer as the next guy who has a grasp of that business acumen is going to win the business.
Exactly. That's a good point. And that kind of brings up another, you know, you mentioned like how would a person get into this business, say they don't have the business acumen. You know, now they're in a proving ground stage, right? So what they can do is, you know, they can approach a local business. It could be a local nonprofit or what have you, a mom and pop store, and be like, hey, I just started, you know, doing social media marketing, or however they want to frame that, and just posit that they will offer free services to them, you know, and say like, I want to do this. I want to set up your social media marketing campaigns, and we can do like a trial run for a couple of months. And if I bring results to you, then maybe we could revisit a conversation about, you know, me, you know, offering my service to you, you know. So that could be another way of breaking in, because then this takes kind of the pressure off the person starting, you know, to create results when they're being paid, right? And also it allows them some time to learn, right? And for the business on the receiving end, they get this free service of having this mobile, you know, marketing department essentially. So that's what I would recommend as well, you know, because it's like almost like a little internship, if you will, or as you're learning yourself, you can apply your learning in real time to businesses. And maybe it's someone that you know, so it's a little bit more comfortable, you know, less anxiety there. It could be a family, friend's business, or maybe a local church or something, where you're just saying, you identify a goal. Hey, I want to get some more visibility. I want to get some likes up. Some type of metric that they could actually measure and that you could actually monitor, and show and demonstrate to them that, okay, I actually, you know, created this result. And then as you get more confident and testing out different strategies, now you can, you know, kind of formulate a plan and carry those skills to actual paying customer.
Absolutely. I don't think that there is enough emphasis on the long game, especially in a new industry like social media management and SEO in general. And I think that comes because of, like you said before, that gray area where the customers aren't savvy enough to tell you that you're messing up, but they're savvy enough to understand that, you know, those 4 likes you got this week hasn't translated into any additional business leads.
Right.
So it's one of those things that if you're going to get into anything, you know, and I've talked about this before on Boxing, I think, in the post, you know, getting into something, you have to understand that money is really at the bottom of the well. That water that you get in the beginning, yeah, that's water that everybody has. It's probably got all kinds of spit and mucus and everything. So you don't want to drink that. You want to get a little bit deeper, so where the water is fresher, you know.
Right.
Into parallel with that idea of creating an internship for yourself. You know, I'm certain that everybody has these kind of stories where they mess things up and they ultimately took an L. I'm sure you do too. But I'll share one that happened to me ways back. So I'm on Craigslist, you know, I'm thinking I'm hustling, you know what I'm saying? I'm throwing up ads on Craigslist. Nothing's really popping with that for like web design. Nothing was really going on. So I'm like, all right, let me try the resume area. Let me just, you know, stuff that with some information. Let me see if I can get somebody to come see. So I get a call from a doctor who owns a business, I guess the umbrella business that owns a dentistry, discount medical center, and a pharmacy. Now, under each of those 3 arms, there's about 16 locations.
Oh, wow.
So she's like, okay, I need someone to go over my websites, audit them, make sure that they're performing on the SEO level. I need someone to do my social media management. And I'm like, cool, I'm about to get this bread. This ain't nothing. So she's like, all right, well, I tell you what, shoot me over a proposal in about 2 or 3 days. We'll sit down with my CFO and we'll go from there. You know, I'm thinking it's going to be nothing. You know, I'm going to go ahead and knock this out the park. I'm counting the money in my head already. And then I sit down and start doing the proposal, and I have no clue what I'm doing. So I'm searching all over Google trying to find examples and samples of proposals to take little bits from here or there. Long story short, the time came for me to send the proposal over, and it was maybe half a page long. And I'm like, I'm not going to embarrass myself, so I just stopped contacting her, and eventually, you know, the leads went away. But taking in consideration that could have easily been, you know, a 5 or 6 figure job had I done it the right way, had I the business acumen and taken the internship unto myself to actually learn the game on a deeper level. You know, I'm much more savvy now. But had I done those 2 things, I would have been in a position to where I could have taken that piece of business and really set myself up in a good way.
I mean, yeah, you got to pace yourself, you know. I mean, I made a similar mistake as well, submitting a proposal and having to go to Google and doing all that, you know. And I actually committed to it. I actually submitted my proposal, you know, and I didn't get nothing back. So it was like, you know, that was still feeling the effects of that, you know. But you just got to kind of move on, and, you know. And I think you got to go through those experiences to kind of test yourself. It's like, you know, is this what I really want to do? You know, kind of weeds you out.
And it's easy to get that roadblock, to get that failure point and be like, this is it for me. Like, I'm done with this. This obviously isn't for me. But there has to be something bigger to make you say, okay, well, I'm going to dust my shoulders off. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to get in my big boy shoes, and I'm going to try this walk again. Obviously, it worked for you because you're still in the industry and you're still pushing hard. At this point, is it a part-time hustle? Is it a side hustle? Or is this your full-time grind?
Right now, this is where I get majority of my income right now. To be honest.
So you're on it then.
I mean, not saying I'm balling, you know, it's still a struggle, definitely.
But you don't have to resort to a day job.
No, I mean, honestly, I was looking for one for a minute just to have a little cushion, but, you know, I'll just get another client, basically. So, I mean, you got to put time in the business and on the business, you know what I'm saying? So, which is basically mean in the business, obviously the daily operations, maybe getting the clients and doing things like that. And then on the business is, okay, what more can I learn? What trends could I look out for? You know, things like that. I mean, as I scour and look at my competition, I got to see what they're doing. And I know I got to perform at that level, you know. So, you know, it's not an easy life, right? So it's, you kind of got to be built for it, or you got to condition your mind to kind of go through these ups and downs. You just got to be ready to take it, man. Take it on the chin and just roll with it. So, you know, I have no complaints. You know what I'm saying? I have no complaints because I can't really picture myself, you know, doing anything outside of this, you know, and not even just specifically social media marketing, but just being an entrepreneur in itself. That lifestyle is what it just basically suits me, you know, no matter how crazy it can get. You know, this is definitely a lifestyle choice and a preference, you know, rather than sitting at a cubicle, you know, 9 to 5. So, you know, you live and you learn.
Well, let's take this back a little bit then. When do you believe in your life that bug hit you to get out there and hustle for yourself?
Man, I know the exact, I could almost tell you the exact date, man. Because I think about this a lot. I reflect a lot, you know, on my past. So, obviously I don't know the date, but it happened when I was around, I would say 9 or 10. And, you know, just long story short, grew up single family home, no money, you know, things like that, living in the hood or whatever. And, you know how you watch TV and you see people getting allowances, right? You know, and I never experienced that allowance. That was like a foreign concept to me. You know, I never knew anybody that got an allowance, you know. And if I ever needed money for myself, I had to either ask a family member or, you know, figure out another means. So 8 and 9, I started wanting things, right? So I was too young to get a job, obviously. Lemonade stand, yeah, that only works in the movies. No one's going to buy, you know, lemonade for me. Might not even have the money to buy the lemonade pack or whatever, right? So what I decided to do, since I had a love for dogs, was I started a dog walking service in my neighborhood. So I put up these flyers, I made business cards, I went all out with this dog walking service, and I went door to door, and I landed one customer. It was this family that lived 2 houses, you know, from our apartment, and they had 2 dogs. And I'll never forget, I went there and I knocked on the door, presented myself, said, hey, you know, I live down the street. You know, she kind of seen me, you know, throughout the years, running up and down around the street, you know, playing basketball, whatever. So she was familiar with who I was. And I told her that, you know, I was interested in walking her dogs for money. And once I showed her I had these business cards and flyers that my uncle helped me make and print out, you know, she was kind of impressed, like, wow, this kid is kind of on it, you know. From there, I started walking her dogs, man. And I started doing that all through junior high and high school, you know, and it turned to dog walking, to dog sitting. And I just really learned how to be an entrepreneur. And there are so many lessons that I learned back then that I still apply now. I learned so much about branding. I learned so much about packaging, just having your package together, you know, meaning, you know, when someone says, hey, what do you do? Oh, I do X, Y, Z. Okay, well, do you have any information? You know, making sure you have the business card, or making sure you have some type of marketing collateral on you to share, you know, or else you're just kind of talking in the wind, you know. So I think that's definitely when I caught that bug, because now, you know, I was walking dogs. I think I was charging like $20 a dog, right? And I was doing like an hour walk. So for me at that time, that was good. You know, I wasted it all on Slurpees, you know, but I was chilling, you know what I'm saying? that was like good care for me. And then I was racking up clients, and then I gravitated up to dog sitting. So now I could charge another fee and do overnight care and things like that. And it just really taught me some valuable lessons about money management and just generating your own income and just really essentially just creating opportunity when you might not have thought there wasn't a way. And I think that was the biggest takeaway I took from that, and that I pretty much applied that just to how I live life. If I want something and there's not a clear path, I just got to create that opportunity. That's part of the reason why I fell into entrepreneurship in the first place, was just out there getting a job. I thought having this 4-year degree in economics and this and that, I was going to have an easy time just getting hired, but as you know, there's lots of different challenges, right? So if opportunities weren't being offered to me, then I got to create my own opportunity. And entrepreneurship seems to be, one of the best ways to do that.
You're right. Absolutely. Entrepreneurship, alongside, putting money in your pocket, really creates a feeling that's absent from the 9-to-5 grind. You know what I mean? Like, you get that check at the end of the week or every 2 weeks, and you're like, yeah, I worked for it, I earned it, but it's not quite the same as performing a service or moving a product and seeing that money immediately.
Right.
I think it's that third party to your money that messes that feeling up. Because I tell you what, man, like, especially when you land a client that's a shot in the wind that you wouldn't have thought that you would get, I believe it kind of rolls, especially for guys, for girls too, but I'm talking about like manhood right here. Like, nothing makes you feel like a man like being able to make your own money, to earn your own money independent of somebody giving you a position.
Definitely. That it's liberating. It's a liberating freedom. That's why I say I don't mind the grind and the hustle, because I just feel free. You know what I'm saying? It's just a free feeling, and it's there's no ceiling. Like Lil Wayne said, there's no ceiling. So I mean, I know my potential is limited to whatever I put out. And I'm not constricted, and I just like that feeling of being able to create my own destiny, write my own story, travel my own journey. And I think that's important to have, especially as men.
Yeah. And I read somewhere, and I can't remember exactly where, but I remember reading a quote from someone that said that when you're working for yourself, even if you earn the exact same amount that you would on a job somewhere, every dollar feels a little bit more important,
Yeah.
It's so absolutely, I agree with you on that. And let's dig a little bit into the kinds of, let's talk about being an entrepreneur, starting the business. I imagine when you first started, it was informal. It was like, hey, I do this, let me do it for you. They're like, all right, well, I'll send it to you via PayPal, or I'll give you cash or a check or something like that.
Yeah.
Talk about the different steps that you had to go through in order to legitimize your operation.
Definitely. And you're kind of spot on with that, because we did kind of just start very kind of haphazardly and casually. The wake-up call, though, for me to really start legitimizing the business was saying, hey, this is a business, and realizing that people have a certain expectation. So when you're out there saying that you do X, Y, and Z, they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt and, take your word seriously, right? So you have this responsibility to perform. So I'm dealing with other businesses promising, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I can't just wing that, you know what I'm saying? So I need to be I need to be legitimate. I need to be professional. The first step I took was just doing the literal steps as far as getting the business incorporated. Again, and then going back and getting formal training, so trying to rack up certain certificates in social media marketing that are available. Again, just doing a lot of researching, reading, just building up my skills, and then also just revisiting just the business acumen part of it, and just making sure that I run and operate, as a business, as a professional business. So now if you stumble upon the webpage, our website, you might get an impression that this is like, a team of like 10 people or something. I don't know. That's usually what people think, but, we're a much smaller operation than that. So, so it's just, kind of going back to taking those real steps as far as incorporating the business, because, once you do that, then now you've made a commitment to yourself, And
not to mention that $300 for the fee.
That's right, and just, think about even the act of saying, like, I have a company, right? The minute you put that out there, there's an expectation you need to live up to, because people are going to, perhaps call you later about that and say, hey, I know you mentioned that you do this. Well, I have this opportunity for you. You don't want to be like, oh, actually, I'm not really ready right now, or we don't even got the website up, or, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you got to be ready. You got to be prepared, and you got to take yourself seriously, and you got to start really reflecting on yourself and saying, okay, what are my weaknesses? For me, I had to look at that. I have a tendency of wanting to like wing things, and and I wouldn't say not taking things seriously, but just kind of putting off doing certain activities. And as people, as humans, a lot of us are affected by that, but you need to start conditioning your mind to work and to be an entrepreneur. And depending on, what type of person you are, that could be a big leap, So really, for me, that first step was an internal step, just kind of conditioning my mind and preparing my mind to really delve deep into just being an entrepreneur, and then just embracing that, fully.
Got you. And that brings up an interesting point, because you've done dog walking, dog sitting, dog daycare, basically, and then now you've moved in, right? And now you're to social media. How did you recognize that was as far as that one could go? And I'm sure you've done other things besides that, but how did you recognize that those things were more apt to be side hustles than the actual true to form business?
As far as like dog walking,
right.
I was like one person, when you think about business versus a hustle, businesses can go to scale, right? And the design, they should be modeled to go to scale, meaning at a certain point, you don't have to be running the business every day, but you can have people, kind of working for you. And so it's kind of moving from being self-employed to being a business owner. And a lot of people may mix those two terms together like they're synonymous, but, there's really a hard line difference, So self-employed person, yeah, technically they own a business, but they are the business, right? So if I'm a dentist or something, I have my own dental practice, I'm the sole dentist at the dental practice. If I don't go to the office that day, no money's made, right? Versus, someone who is a partner in a law firm or something like that, where you have others, other partners, vested partners, and as well as other staff members, So from the dog walking, there was a lot of different business experiences that I had. Prior to this, I owned a cafe. So that's when I experienced being a business owner first versus being self-employed. So, and that was a big difference because then I had staff. I also had other business partners. I had a whole lot of bills, a lot more responsibility, a lot more risk, and a lot more money invested too, So it definitely, it was an interesting process, but I definitely prefer to be, a business owner. But again, you got to pace yourself and you got to embrace the growth. So right now, I would say I'm maybe somewhere in between the self-employed and the business owner phase. But the ultimate goal is to segue into becoming a business owner.
I can dig that.
Yeah.
I can dig that. Okay. So having run the gambit between the small-time thing to owning the cafe to where you are now, would you say that there are maybe some, I don't want to call them life hacks, but things that you've done to keep productivity high, to overcome whatever your deficiencies may be as far as that, being able to stay on task? Are there certain qualities that you've learned to embrace into yourself?
Yeah, I mean that's a really interesting question. That's actually something I think about too a lot. It's kind of hard to say, but I would definitely say, really, handling that inner sense of urgency. And I say sense of urgency because, when I had the cafe, I had 3 other business partners, and we would bump heads a lot. And I remember one of them would always say, like, you guys don't have a sense of urgency. And he would just always say that, and I'll be like, what is he talking about? What do you mean sense of urgency? Like, we're here, we're like working. What else do you need? It wasn't until, much later that I really learned like what that means. And that sense of urgency is just, it really, you could label it enthusiasm, you could label it energy. For me, it manifests as anxiety, but it really is just channeling this spirit within you to just get things done. You know what I'm saying? So like, and just to stay focused and motivated and just to block out distractions. So from the minute I wake up, it's like, it's go time. And the sense of urgency is so strong with me as an entrepreneur that, I can't even sleep sometimes without just getting certain things done. It's a difference between saying, I'll work on this post tomorrow versus, now let me just do it right now. Or, let me start building this website next week versus like, no, let me start it today. Like, I can do it today. I have the time, not creating excuses and just doing it. And the more you get in the habit of just doing, instead of putting off things, the more productive you're going to become. It's going to become like a habit, and it's going to become a part of who you are and how you operate. So that's been my goal, is to kind of condition myself to be that way. And I had to fight against a lot of urges to just be like, nah, like, let me just chill. Nah, let me hit up the bar real quick or whatever. But you gotta keep your eye on the prize, and I think that's to me, honestly, I feel like success, I don't want to say isn't difficult, but everybody leaves clues to be successful. The footprints of success have been laid down by so many different people, so many examples, all right, in our lives. All we got to do is just look at them and just kind of essentially follow what they do, right? And that's, but that sounds easy, but it's not as easy to do, right? Because people get distracted, they lose focus, they get discouraged. A lot of things happen, in between, that point A and B. Getting to B, the success part, I don't think it's not the difficult thing. It's just the journey that is a challenge, So it's, again, I just go back to just having that drive that you gotta be able to just tap into, even when it's like, man, I don't know if I'm going to pay rent this month or whatever. Just being able to just, tap into something. So you just got to keep going and not give up, because there's definitely time, in previous ventures where it was like, damn, like, I got rent coming up. Like, how am I going to pay this? I mean, I put them through a lot of, mental stress, right? Because there was times we'd be like 30 days late, I'm rolling up there like, okay, here's a fee. And I just be honest with them, like, hey man, I'm trying to do something, I'm trying to build something, and they just shake their head and be like, all right, but just being able to deflect that, you really start really getting into the grittiness of it when I don't want to say people turn their back on you, but people close to you start maybe throwing doubt or start saying like, yo man, maybe you should just get a job, like, stuff like that, and again, it's like, okay, so what's inside you that's going to make you push through and not be like, okay, yeah, you're right. It's having that sense of urgency and saying like, nah, like I got this drive. I'm anxious, like for me, it's like an anxiety, like to be successful. It's like, I know the prize is there waiting for me and I know it's there. Right. So I'm like, I just want to run and hurry up and get it. I know I got to pace myself, but I know it's there. So it's like, I don't want to take any days off because a day off means that's just even more time I'm separating myself from getting to that goal, So if you're that fine-tuned and really, truly believing in your success, you're going to have that type of feeling. You're not going to want to just, kick back and chill and like, nah, I don't feel like, prospecting any clients today. And, you're going to want to go after it because, these are steps that are left behind for you to follow to get you to where you want to be, So that's what it's been for me.
Absolutely. It's a funny thing too, man, because I kind of look at it as the way that you're aggressively pursuing success is almost like you're in Vegas. You know what I'm saying? Because when you start a new venture, it's like you go into a table, and depending on whatever amount of money you have to play with, you're like, okay, I'm here at the dollar table. I see off in the horizon the $100,000 table. I'm not there yet. My chips aren't big enough yet. So let me start here at this dollar table. Let me get 5. Now go to the $5 table. Let me get 10. Let me go to $10, so on and so forth. You're continuously building upon the foundation that I'm the one responsible for making this happen. So ultimately, the money itself is just a byproduct of you saying, I am going to aggressively create today. I'm not going to wait for this paycheck to come. I'm going to go out here and make this paycheck happen right now. And there's almost kind of a cap that people don't realize is there. When you take a job, you're making $50,000 a year, you're making $50,000. If you take a job, you're making $100,000 a year, you're maxing out at $100,000. But the guy on the side is like, hey, I'm about to open up, a chain of car washes, and that $100K can be that one car wash. Now you could have 10. So there's multiples to it. There's more opportunity to interact with people and convince them to come out of pocket for you.
That's right. I mean, you're learning. You learn how to build one business. Now you've learned how to build any business. You know what I'm saying? If you pay attention, to the process. Yeah. That's why, I felt comfortable delving into the social media marketing. As from being a cafe, owner. And I'll say that I was only a cafe owner once, right? So I didn't have any experience in. I'm not even a foodie person, right? So I'm the dude. I'm gonna pick up sliced mango on the street corner, So I'm not into food like that. But I went ahead and felt, confident enough to go in this venture and open up a cafe, just because I knew I had some certain skills that I gained in other ventures, and from the cafe, I applied what I learned from that and those skills and applied it to, this business moving forward. So it's definitely, as you're saying, it's just you're building upon all of that knowledge, and whether you're cognizant of it or not, you just get better and better at just being an entrepreneur, which essentially, in its basic root, is just being a person that creates opportunity. Yeah.
Absolutely. Hell, I'd even call it being a hustler. If you want to strip all the formality away from it, you're figuring out ways to hustle up. Hustle is the energy, it's the root word, it's the motive,
Right.
Moving quickly, aggressively towards an opportunity, a goal, a motive.
Right.
Let's talk about some of the things that you do to sharpen your sword, if you will, like some of the tools that you may use. Do you take any online classes? Do you actively search? Like, drop some sites or books that you've read that could help people that's looking to get into what you're doing.
Definitely. So, as far as like the technical specific stuff, industry related things, I definitely listen to some podcasts. There's one by Neil Patel and Eric Seal. I forget what it's called, but you can look that up. It's pretty popular. And their podcast is just, I would say, no longer than like 10-minute episodes, where they're just kind of dropping just a lot of different knowledge on really specific things within the industry. Moz.com is a good resource that I go to. There's Social Media Examiner. As far as training, I went through the Google offers Google Analytics training, Google AdWords, so you can actually become certified in different categories under Google AdWords. So I went ahead and got some certifications under that. And that just looks good, as you're prospecting clients, just to have, those certifications. Just kind of helps legitimize, the work that you do. There's so many different, certifications out there. Twitter even has their own course. A lot of them are free. Let's see, HubSpot is another good one. They offer inbound and email marketing certification, as well as a blog that they frequently update with a lot of good gems on there. And outside of that, just to keep me again focused and just overall, just to keep me motivated in the day-to-day, I listen to a lot of Napoleon Hill lectures. So you can find that on YouTube. I started off with his audiobook. I forget what it's called, something with the devil, meeting with the devil or something like that. And this is the same guy that wrote Think and Grow Rich, which I haven't read. I've just gotten so much, inspiration and just motivation off of the lectures that you can just find online. And I usually listen to those, I would say maybe 4 times a week, just to kind of reiterate and just reinforce, this path that I'm taking. And that helps me just stay level, stay focused, and just keep on my grind, especially during the times when, it's a slow month. Clients aren't coming in as frequent as you would like, or, things happen, So I would recommend kind of balancing your education with, some type of author that's kind of talking about designing your life. Another good author is Robert Greene, and he has a book called Mastery, and this is the guy that wrote the
40 Laws of Power.
Yeah, 40 Laws of Power, yeah. So, which I didn't read, but I read his book Mastery, and that book really resonated with me. And that, if you need to read something that will kind of put a spark under you, just to kind of figure out what you want to do with your life and how you can benefit from pursuing what you're good at and identifying what you're good at, I would definitely start at Mastery. That was a really powerful book for me to read. So yeah, just keep it like that, and just keep that education going. Keep listening to podcasts, keep learning, and make it a point to learn something new every day, or reinforce a lesson every day. Just so I can refine my skills. Because the more you learn, the more confident you feel, and that's going to translate into your success. So it can only benefit you.
Okay. Now, where can people find you online? Where can they reach out to you? Maybe use some of your services for their businesses?
Definitely. Just go to socialmediums.design. You can also find us on Facebook, Social Mediums, as well as Instagram and Twitter, and even Pinterest as well. So socialmediums.design, and you'll find us.
Okay. One last question, now I'll let you go. On back channels, we talked a little bit about Alexa, and we talked a little bit about the Echo and how that's kind of making waves as far as new trends. Let's talk about the importance of trends and how to capitalize on trends like Alexa when possible.
Okay, so trends, the way the Alexa thing just happened because I was just actively listening. As an entrepreneur, you really got to condition your mind to just be open to opportunities and open to seeking out, new things, new ways to hop on. And the only way you can get there is by working in your business and just being open for ideas like that to happen. So with the Alexa thing, I had the Alexa device, and I was kind of scrolling through the little marketplace, and I was looking at different skills to add. I had NPR, and I had The Economist and other different vendors that I was adding on. And I said, maybe I could use this tool to help, promote my business as well. So that's when I Googled and said, is there a way to add, skills to the Alexa app as a consumer? And there definitely is a way. And they have a whole development department for that. And you can go and write your own code and basically write your own app to be distributed on that channel. And it seems like, to me, that's a good way to get content out there, as far as you have YouTube, you have blogs, you have your Facebook, you have your Instagram. Well, Alexa kind of occupies a space that's a little bit different, right? Because it's not visual. It's like this voice-based, voice command thing, and it offers the user a different type of experience. I use it this morning. It's like I tell Alexa to give me a flash briefing, which basically gives me a summary of the news around the world. While I'm listening, I'm cleaning up or checking email or things like that, which is a different experience than going online and reading a blog or, watching a video. So I saw the Alexa as an opportunity to release content, to be another distribution channel, for the content that we produce on our blog. And I really see that as another, area that's going to start blowing up, because it's really kind of living this what you can do, as far as creating apps for Alexa. So, you could be a business, you could be a realtor, right? And you could have an app on Alexa where, someone asks, hey, what are the open houses for today? And Alexa will just start spewing out, okay, these are the open houses, in your area. That's an idea right there. So, there's so many things you can do and manipulate with this app. And that's definitely something that I'm going to start exploring more, and that adds on another layer of the services that we provide, as a social media marketing agency. So really just kind of thinking forward, I'm trying to be in on the cutting edge and trying to do what others aren't doing. I guess I kind of gave away our new venture or whatever, whatever.
Well, no, you know what? It's funny because you can list something, you can say something, you can tell people about something, but there's very few that will follow up on it. you know.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately. So if some of those that are listening decide to follow up on it, you know, more power to them.
Hey, man, you can always depend on human nature to not follow through. I mean, it's like what I said earlier, you know, putting things off done today, you know, so and that's a good example right there. And that's why I do give out a lot of free content, you know, like we have our blog, and a lot of the topics of our posts, you know, center around things that we discovered, you know, maybe things that we did wrong that we now figured out how to correct, or different quote-unquote hacks or secrets, you know, and we just put them out. And those are things that we, you know, use ourselves as a business, but we just put that out for the public. But I don't see that hurting us, you know, for many different reasons. You know, when you demonstrate and show value, or, you know, produce information, then you can show your value to your customers, and you can build your audience and things like that. So, but definitely staying on top of trends, and just being able to look and look out for signals and trends. And I mean, as you really condition your mind, again, I keep saying that, but as you really condition your mind to work as an entrepreneur, you're going to see opportunities where others don't. You know, how many people have played with their Alexa that are business owners and didn't think, oh, maybe I could do something with my business on this platform. You know what I'm saying? So the more you really get into that and embrace being an entrepreneur, the more your mind is going to start revealing opportunities where you may not have seen them before.
Good stuff. All right. Well, Hassan, I appreciate you for taking the time to chop up game with us here on the Smash Mouth podcast. I know I said that was the last question, but I have one more. Is there anything that I should have asked, but I didn't?
That's a good question in itself. Man, I don't even know. I mean, I could go on and on just about my experiences. I mean, I would just like to just stress, just really. Oh, okay. There is one thing that I did leave out as far as like getting started, and something that I believe in wholeheartedly is that you can't attain success without the cooperation of other people. So you're going to need to be partnered up, basically. Team up, you know. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have someone vested in your company itself, but you need to have people that are aligned or advocates, you know, with what you're doing, because success ultimately in the end requires the cooperation of other people. So be good to people, be kind, be transparent, do good things, and good things will happen to you.
My man. All right, I appreciate it. I'm definitely going to hit you up on back channels and let you know when this drops. And yeah, I appreciate it, bro.
No doubt, man. Thanks for the opportunity, and I hope people can learn something.